Okay, so let's move on to our very first official piece of Python code. Now, it is a genuine tradition in the world of computer science that whenever you learn any new programming language, the very first program, the very first instruction that you should write is that prints the words "Hello World" to the screen. This is a tradition in computer science. It was very, very exciting when I did that back in 1985 on the TV set in the lounge and got the words "Hello World" to appear on my television. Very exciting. I cannot emphasize enough how exciting it is to be able to control something that was a passive medium up to that point. I acknowledge getting the words "Hello World" up on the screen is perhaps less exciting these days, but nonetheless it is a tradition, and we shall follow that computer science tradition. So let us run a program that says "Hello World" in Python. So in Principles of Programming, we talked about functions and what functions were. We said that basically functions are enormously useful when we're programming. They are where we bundle up some code, some instructions that we're going to want to probably use multiple times, maybe even in different programs. It's a bundle of stuff that does something. And generally, when we write a function, it's good practice to have a function that does one thing well. So you don't want a function that does lots and lots of different things generally. You generally want a function that's very clear. The function does this, but it does it really well. Okay. And with a function, we can give them inputs. They don't all need inputs, and sometimes you'll get some outputs passed back to you in the code. And again, they don't all pass back outputs. So if we want to write some text to the screen, which we're going to need to do in our Python code to get the words "Hello World" up, then we can use something known as the print function, and it is just a function. And basically, we use this syntax here, where we say the name of the function, and then we open and close brackets. And the thing that's in the brackets are any inputs that we need to pass. Now, in the case of the print function, that's basically whatever we want to write to the screen. Okay, the thing we want to print. You can have a print statement without. You can call the print function without anything in the brackets. That's fine. You have to have the brackets, but you can pass it with no input. And in that case, what it'll do, it'll just print a blank line. So it'll just go to the next line, and that can be quite useful when you're you want to put in a blank line in your output. So let's try this in VS Code. Let me switch over to VS Code now. So you'll need to go into, when you do this, go into File, New File, Python file. Make sure you're in your base environment when you go to run this. If for those of you that were playing around with environments last week, it won't matter for this. The des environment will work. It will also produce this, but there will be things in the following weeks that won't work in the des environment. So if I switch over to VS Code here, I'm going to type print to bring up the print function. Now I saw a few questions last week about I thought there shouldn't be a space. It doesn't matter. I tend to put a space personally, but you don't have to. It's entirely optional. I open and close my brackets, and now I'm going to pass in the input that I need. Now what I need to do is I need to use inverted commas in order to do that. Now I can use the double quotation marks, or I can use single quotation marks. It doesn't matter. Python accepts either, and that's basically our way of saying this is a string input. Remember, a string is just some a sequence of characters. So that declares it as a string variable, and you're telling it I want you to print to the screen this string. You can use either double or single quotation marks. You can't mix them in the same variable. So you have to, if you start with one, if you open with a double quotation mark, you have to close with a double quotation mark. You can't mix them up in the same in the same input. Okay, so I'm going to type "Hello World." I'm going to put an exclamation mark because I'm that excited. And there we go. That is my. Let me just zoom in a bit so make it a bit easier to see. That is my first program in Python. I'm going to type print hello world with the input in the brackets being the string I'm printing. And now I'm going to run it. And Zoom is going to get in the way. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, sorry. Let's try it again. Run it in an interactive window. That'll allow it to pop up in the console here. And there we go. It's run the instruction print hello world. And what appears on my screen? Hello world. Very exciting, probably. Okay, that's your very first Python program. Right, let me, yeah, I've already covered that. Okay, so that's how you print a message to the screen. Now, usually you'll use that kind of thing for in kind of real code where you want to display messages to the user as you're sort of going through, maybe updating what's happening, that kind of thing, or chucking out some outputs of your model or whatever it might be. Okay, so you'll use print all the time. It's quite a common function that you'll use.